publisher is
I
saying.
checked on Amazon, and it's the #1 in the political.
Political doctrine, political parties. These.
Yeah, it's #1 in that. So that's what someone was asking. How come India Ahead is doing this show? But it's already a bestseller. What do you expect? Okay, we're ready. They have a point. Okay, I'm just going to tweet this out so that all our friends can join. Why the hell is it not picking up your name? Okay, here it is. No, it's picked up someone. Oh, yeah. So thank you so much, Rahul, for being here today. And
thank you.
I better start recording us. Okay, hello and welcome to Kaleidoscope. I have a very interesting guest with me today, Rahul Roshan, author, former journalist, former IIM grad, former so many things, but for this show and for right now, he was the sanghi or is the sanghi who never went to a shakha. So that's the name of his book, The Sanghi Who Never Went to a Shakha. And it's already #1 on Amazon's bestseller list for political books. So I think that's insane, especially being an author myself in this time where it's so limited, you know, the kind of publicity that you can do for a book because obviously because of the pandemic. Congratulations, Rahul, for this organic bestseller status.
Yeah.
You're feeling good.
Thank you. I mean, I didn't expect it, to be among the bestseller. And I hope it sustains that momentum. But yeah, as of for now, obviously, it feels pretty good. I mean, being an author yourself, you would know that it's so satisfying to just finish the book, you know. I mean, and it was my first book. And I had always admired authors. You know, it requires a lot of discipline to pen a book. Whether good or bad is different thing, but the mere process of penning it and finishing it and submitting the manuscript, whether you are self-publishing or to the editor or wherever, that itself is so satisfying and rewarding. And add to that, obviously, if you see that it's doing good, it's being received well, that obviously it's a big bonus. And right now, my smile shows that.
So is this book a COVID baby? I mean, did it happen during COVID or was you already writing it and then,
Yeah, I mean, it was not exactly a COVID baby, although it can be termed so. The idea, I mean, or rather the decision that I would write a book, that was taken in 2018 itself, actually. Then, I got busy with something or the other. I had a business to run as well, or rather a company to run. And well, I must say that, what I said earlier, that I didn't have that discipline in a sense. So the actual writing started much later. Sometime in early 2019, I started writing. And once I wrote what is chapter 1 now, I went for looking for publisher. I mean, I didn't go looking for publisher. A literary agent was in long touch with me, and he had been telling me to write something since 2013 itself. So I sent him that okay, even though you had been asking me to write about humor and satire, this is something I have started writing. What do you think? And he got me a publisher, the Rupa Publications, which I was I was happy to have them on board. However, things again got derailed. After 2019 elections got over. In elections, obviously, we have to become busy with all the political coverage and all. Then again business things and all that. So writing was almost forgotten. So COVID, yeah, that became a helpful push in that sense, that because the rest of the things were put on back burner. And my editor also called me up once I think a week or two after the lockdown was announced, and it definitely looked like the lockdown was not going to be over soon. So he said that, okay, take this opportunity and finish it off. So in that sense, it is a COVID baby, even though the idea and the baby steps were taken much earlier. But without COVID, I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't have got that discipline.
I know it's gotten us a lot more discipline. I've been writing more as well, so in
Right.
that sense, it's been a good time. But I was curious to know how you're somebody who's very outspoken. I follow
Yeah.
you on Twitter,
Yeah.
and I've also know you personally. But you're very outspoken. So how was it? Working with the editor, were there
Hmm.
situations when they said, "Oh God, no, please don't write this, otherwise we're going to get sued"? How did you balance that? The
No,
reality of being published.
right. Once it was decided that I'm not self-publishing, because I went through that literary agent. When I decided to pen this book, it was because I wanted to tell this story. It was not because I wanted to get published with a leading publishing house, or I wanted to make money and get into the bestsellers. That was not at all the idea. It was because I just wanted to tell that story, that what caused this change in me. But once a leading publishing house was on board, I myself, I would say, used a narrative where it doesn't get them into trouble, because I know that they have to play safe. And to be honest, I didn't have too many controversial things to say as such, which can get them defamation or anything like that, because it was not really about others. It was about myself. And there are others. I mean, I have mentioned people. I have mentioned, the kind of bias and the kind of stuff that I see, which obviously, if somebody decides to sue, they can go ahead and do that. But I don't think they can do anything, because many things that I have mentioned there are out in open. It's pretty obvious. It's in the public domain. There were a couple of small things, obviously, where the publisher wanted ki theek hai, let us back it up. Back it up with more proof, or more references, so that we are safe. But there were no major such I would say challenges with the publisher, where they would say that no, it's getting too hot for us. Maybe also because in the last few years, that window, what you call that overturn window, that has also shifted. So maybe publishers are a little bit more comfortable publishing something which perhaps 4 5 years back, or definitely 10 years back, they would have thought it's too controversial, we cannot publish it too politically incorrect. So that's not a challenge that arose while I was working.
So now let's back up a little bit,
Yeah.
because this is your journey. So let's talk
Yeah.
about Rahul, Master Rahul, in the 1980s and 1990s.
Yeah.
Uh, what was your I have a feeling you were always political. I don't think it's something that's happened to you as an adult. I feel that you were always political and you were always observing things around you. So tell me,
uh,
what was 80s Rahul, Master Rahul like? I mean, was he observing things? Was he wondering what's going on around me?
No, I would say I definitely was observant, but I was not political. Actually, people might not be able to believe it at all, but I didn't have a certain political ideology, even in my early 30s, I would say. Which is shocking. So, and I myself marvel at guys who are like barely 18, 19, or in their early 20s, and they are so sure of what ideology they want to subscribe to, whether on the left or on the right. I was not like that. I was completely I won't say completely unaware guy. I definitely understood politics, and the fact that I chose journalism after my graduate degree, that shows that I definitely had interest in politics, in political development. But I was not a political guy, definitely not an ideological guy as such. When I joined my first job in journalism, I was 22 years old, and it's funny, and it's kind of shameful also, that I didn't even know what is vichardhara. So that's how it is. I'm completely different guy. You were talking about 80s, and this is when I'm an adult actually. 80s, obviously, I was a little kid. So yeah, so I was not political, but since I come from Bihar,
Yes,
Bihar is obviously, they have to be
very
political.
political.
Yeah, so even when I'm saying I'm not political, perhaps on an average as a Bihari, I am definitely more political than anyone else.
And the average
So
Indian, yeah.
yeah, so that
That's same as
discount on,
UP also. My part
yeah,
of UP is also very political. The Kanpur area, all of that.
yeah. So that correction you will have to make. So while I believe, in maybe in typical UP Bihar ka context, I might not be that political, but in overall Indian context, I might be a very political guy from pretty early. I surely was never, when I see those vox pop, you go on asking young guys, and they don't even know who is the president and prime minister. So surely I was
Were
never
you
in
that
that zone.
guy? Were you that guy once upon a time?
Yeah, never. I was never in that zone. It's not. I was never only about interested in, Bollywood music, and absolutely having no idea about elections. No, that zone was never there, because perhaps no Bihari is in that zone ever. Yeah.
That's true. And when did this switch happen then? Was it during
This,
your journalism career or was it later? What triggered it? What was the trigger? That's a very
yeah,
popular word
yeah,
nowadays.
right.
What
That's
triggered you?
right. I won't pinpoint one particular incident that caused the trigger, and which is why I ended up writing the book, that it was a gradual progression. While I was in journalism, which is, like very early days in my journalism, from when I was 22, and I left journalism at 25 to do my MBA. In those 3 years, or rather 2.5 years, I was, there was no transformation as such. In fact, had I not taken a break from journalism, who knows, I might have been, so-called neutral. You understand? I mean, you think yourself to be neutral, but you are actually left-leaning. That's how it is in journalism. So I would have been perhaps the same person if I had not left journalism, and if I had not, taken a break, and kind of would have acquired a new way of re-looking at things. So if had I continued in journalism, maybe I would have been just another journalist, not necessarily, someone, definitely not as outspoken and as, like vocal, or even, should I say, partisan, like currently. No, no, not definitely. I mean, in my book itself, I have written how in my early years I actually have, done stuff, said stuff, which currently I consider was manipulation, which currently I consider was wrong. So this if so it definitely didn't happen when I got into media. It happened when I got back into media. Once I
Once
did
you saw the
my
real world.
right. So it's when you are back, with having taken a break, understood, having been exposed to some other things, and then you gain a new insight, and you start looking at the same things with a different outlook. Then it's that process started, and that also process was gradual, from, I would say, from 2011, 12 to 2015. That was the process. And since 2015 to 2016, obviously, I've been as vocal and as, biased, or whatever, as one can. Yeah.
But I want to understand this process. I
Mhm.
mean, you say it was a gradual process, but you're a very observant person. You
Hmm.
must have noticed some things which
Right.
really riled you up or made you
Right.
turn. So
Right.
if I was to ask you, what were those 5 things that
Hmm.
made you become a sanghi, so to speak?
Five. I mean, I'll have to see whether I reach five. One. Obviously, it was. the intolerance of liberals. It's actually they who keep on shouting intolerance. But you know, I hadn't aligned myself with any ideology. Say around 2000, even after 2014 victory, in the run up to the 2014 election, it was kind of clear that yeah, I was pro Modi.
Yeah.
But once Modi won and all that, it was not like I became a
Card
झंडा ले
carrying.
लिया मैंने कि या मोदी जिंदाबाद अब तो 25 साल मोदी को ही रहना है. It was not like that. So I kept on trying to have a conversation, while the other side I saw was not willing to have a conversation. And ironically, it would be them who would say that these people are not interested in conversation, that these people are interested in talking you down. But it was exactly what they are saying. This is a very standard operating procedure that they have, that they accuse you of what they actually do. So this almost a breakdown in having conversation, where people are not willing to listen to you. So that what should I mean? I don't know. It has to be called intolerance only. So that was one thing. The other was very obvious double standards that you adopt. I mean, I was never very vocal or assertive of my religious identity. In fact, my religious understanding or my religious identity was very inadequate in that sense, that I wouldn't know many of my religious texts. Even right now, when we talk, I cannot say I am erudite in those manners that I have read.
You can't do you can't do the
Yeah, that
Chandi part, you can't do that.
yeah, those
If I
things
ask you.
obviously. Yeah, I'm still to reach that stage. I wish I would reach that stage, but uh, and I'm talking about 6 years back. This is when I'm very political, very vocal, very ideological. In those times, I definitely didn't have any assertive identity. Yet their double standards about, when they would talk about a non-Hindu identity, or when they would talk about non-Hindu beliefs or non-Hindu sentiments, vis-a-vis how they would treat a Hindu identity versus a Hindu sentiment. So that double standard was so striking that, I mean, you have to be completely blind not to spot that. So the intolerance, this double standard, and then obviously, the whole internet thing, where you are pushed to take a corner. I mean, you are pushed in a way that either you simply retire from the arena, or you start fighting.
No, but
So
you are not being pushed. You actually lead a corner. There's a difference. I would say I am pushed, but you definitely lead a corner where
yeah.
you have your thoughts and your views, and you have these hundreds of thousands of followers who are amplifying it. So
Hmm.
I think that shift has also happened for you.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I surely now I'm not just reacting, I'm even attacking. That's true. But that this is what happened as a consequence. I mean, I also, where you are, perhaps I was there 4 year 5 years back, and maybe now you have reached that zen position where
I'm
you don't.
Zen. I'm Zen now.
So, but I didn't choose to be zen. I choose to be that, no, okay, if you are doing this, I'll do worse things to you.
Yes.
So so I yeah, I mean that it's not like that's always the best policy. I mean, obviously there are flip sides to it. uh, I mean, you can't be always angry, but yeah, not getting into those philosophical things. I was first pushed, and then I started fighting, and I'm continuing fighting.
And I mean, this is the thing about your book, it's so relatable.
Yeah,
The journey that you have made is because even the points that you highlight, I can identify with a couple of them,
right.
especially the first point, which is, I remember being at a dinner party and I made some comment, and I was not, again, very political. I worked in hotels. We
Hmm.
were told, don't talk politics, so I
Hmm.
had to actually train myself to
Hmm.
not talk politics.
Hmm.
And I was like attacked just for saying something mildly appreciative, you know, and
Hmm.
and to me, I mean, I'm never impolite. So for me, it was just like a shock that,
Hmm.
my God, what happened here, so I
True.
know exactly what you mean when you speak about that intolerance. And you're right, it does push a lot of people off
Hmm.
the fence, and into, another column, so to speak. But how long do you think this polarization can continue?
That's what I mean, everyone is wondering. Uh, to be honest, I haven't thought about that. It's something that's happening. It's something that's definitely not healthy, but it's something that I can make use of. So, so you can say that I'm being opportunist. I'm not being a very someone who should think about the widest thing, that this is not the kind of world we should be making it, and those things.
Hmm.
Yeah, sometimes when I am in too good a mood, I might think about that. But currently, as I said, I'm fighting. Why should I retreat? I mean, somebody has to look at the things, and I'm damn sure that people watching it, they would be maybe irritated by me also, and by the other side also. So yeah, once this realization starts happening in the wider audience also, perhaps that will also have effect. But currently, the polarization, currently it's driven by the other side. I don't know what they would say, and whether they can blame us. When I say us, obviously the so-called Hindutva, or the Hindu nationalist voices. But it's the other side who are pushing you. I mean, what did we do? Or rather, what did, for example, that girl, Rashmi Saman, do to deserve that kind of treatment? So, that she's the first Hindu student leader, and she has to resign just for being a Hindu. So, when you are doing such things, expecting people like us to think that, okay, things are getting bad and we should do something about it. No, we are almost in a zone where we think that it's a matter of survival. We might be right, we might be wrong, I don't know. And that I would leave to other more matured sociology, okay, professors and all that. But currently, I don't see that happening, because the other side is getting more and more shrill, more and more vitriolic. From a domestic arena, now this whole vitriol has been taken onto the international arena, where people, girls like Rashmi has have to suffer. So I don't see it mellowing down anytime soon. So we have to fight. And however, I do believe that I mean, how long? At some point of time, either people or the warring parties will need to think over it. That I don't know. I really don't have an answer to that, because currently it's more about pushing the narrative that I'm more interested in, rather than thinking about the canvas on which this narrative is being painted. Yeah.
No, you have a point there, because as you know, you've also been part of it. Words Count is a platform I curate, and the purpose of that platform is really Shastrat, and bringing diverse ideological viewpoints and civil conversation together. And very often it is the liberals who I speak to who decline, because they don't want to be in conversation with somebody, or
Right.
they don't want to
Right.
share stage. And on the other side, so to speak, the non-left side or the Hindutva side, I've never had anybody say that, no, we won't be there, or we won't, come
See,
on
yeah.
board. And I find that very surprising. I mean, I don't want to embarrass anybody, but I've had refusals. So, but on the, but someone like Mr. Ovesi very happily came,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
there was no trolling. I didn't experience any trolling from the Hindutva side, so to speak, to say that why did you call him. There was no cancelling, nothing like that. So there is a much more liberal space that I have found also in my interactions with this side of the spectrum, the
Right.
left side. I wouldn't say right necessarily, but the
Right.
non-left
Right.
side.
Yeah, the non-left,
Yeah,
basically. Yeah.
and then I do find with the
Yeah.
more left.
Which is where actually I could have taken offense at your question, that that we hardly do anything. Why are you putting this question to me?
Yeah.
And the irony is that perhaps the other side will take offense if you to put this question to them. So this is where how where we are. So I don't know. As I said, the canvas obviously is looking very very uncomfortable. It's very looking very messy. But I am more interested in drawing there and getting the point across rather than worrying about the wider things.
Now, coming back to your book,
Yeah.
why do you feel it was? Why did you feel like it was important to write it? What motivated you to tell this story?
Uh, these guys only motivated me when when they start to cancel you and stuff like that. And a couple of other friends also whom I can say that okay, I cared about their comments and all. So when they would say that okay, you were not like this, there is a famous tweet with which people troll me, that Barkha had once tweeted to me, you used to be funny, but it's not, Barkha is not my friend, but there are some in close circles also who would have similar kind of things to say, that you were a nice funny kind of a political guy, what made you change, become like this? So instead of explaining to them, every one of them, I'm not very I'm a lazy guy, sitting in my house only. I cannot be exactly okay, let's have a coffee and we'll talk about that. So this is my mass coffee with every of these friends whoever asked me that okay, what caused this change. So instead of saying that okay, yeah, no, you are right, I have become so bad, let me try to be good. No, that either I would have settled for that, or I would have settled for explaining it, that what brought about this change. So such questions, such observations from people, and I also thought that it should be documented. There is something, it will have value for many people, because sometimes you just go through change in emotions, or a change in your belief system, and you don't either even realize, or you don't pause to reflect back upon what could have caused it. So it's like a psychoanalysis of oneself. So that's how I have done it, and perhaps that's where I believe that many others would also be able
Oh,
to
yes. I
relate
mean,
it.
one of the
Yeah.
top feedback on your book is a lot of people are finding it very relatable.
Right.
And,
Yeah. So
I think in many ways they're seeing their own story in
true.
this, what
True.
you're saying. So
Yeah.
I think that's something that should really empower you as a writer.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I wanted to know that, the book has come, the conversations are happening. We're having
Hmm.
a conversation about
Hmm.
this.
Hmm.
But again, I'm going to come back to that point. There is still a certain discomfort in a certain segment, say the urban, well-heeled,
Hmm.
demographic
Hmm. Hmm.
of the closet sanghi. I know you've
Hmm.
met them as well, because Prime Minister Modi cannot win these mandates without the
Yeah.
closet sanghis.
Right.
So, what has been your experience with the closet sanghis?
No, in I mean, they also can fall into multiple categories, but obviously when you meet them, and in private, obviously they would say that this is something I completely understand, but in public I cannot put out a tweet of appreciation, or I would say that go on and buy this book. So that kind of experience has been there, not just about this book, but even earlier, and I'm sure that even in the future I'll have this experience, or maybe I have not understood the question very well,
Yeah, I'll
but
tell you the question is that, see, you've owned the Sanghi.
right,
I've got to
right,
come out and I'm going to own it. And you
right,
make that clear
right,
in your book. There
yeah,
are a lot of people of a certain demographic, which is this, urban,
ha ha, right,
that lot, who are
right,
saying that, don't call me a Sanghi and I don't want to
yeah,
be identified as a Sanghi.
right, right,
It's the worst possible thing you can do to me.
right,
But
right.
the way Prime Minister Modi and the mandates he wins, and also
Hmm.
based on some personal interactions I've had,
Hmm. Hmm.
there is a certain demographic called the closet Sanghi,
Hmm.
who
That's
doesn't
true.
come out publicly, but
Right,
is like 10 on 10 on many issues,
right, right,
checking all the boxes. So
right,
I
right.
was keen to know about your interactions with this demographic.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So I would say that I got the question right. And what how you have put is exactly. I don't think that. Uh, when they say that they don't want this label on themselves, it's not because of some genuine belief. It's because of fear,
Mm.
because of fear of this cancel culture, that you don't want that label because it can professionally hurt you.
And
And
it
it
does.
does.
It
Yeah.
does.
and
It
and,
does.
and and it does. So I completely understand where they are coming from. There are people who have said, oh, I'm sorry, I need to unfollow you. And it says, oh, fine, at least you care to tell me that, or oh, this is wonderful tweet, I cannot retweet you. And this is all before the book came. So it's not about, it's absolutely not about still being confused whether being sanghi is right or wrong. It's about that fear. And the irony is that the same people say डर का माहौल है. अरे तुमने तो दूसरों में डर का माहौल बना रखा है. So this cancel culture is so strong in the West, and it's slowly seeping over here. So it's because of that fear. I mean, the closet sanghis that you are talking about, mostly they are closet because they are afraid of the consequences, and that fear is absolutely not based on unfounded grounds. They can actually suffer. For example, if I take myself, I cannot go back and join mainstream media at this stage. I'm
But
almost like a
did you face discrimination as well once you became more opinionated about the side you support, so to speak?
uh, I would say I myself started withdrawing, before the other side. So it's a very it's a I mean, this is something I do online also and offline also. So before I think the other guy can block me, I block the person. So so this is how I would say it happened over there. I kind of withdrew it. I kind of started looking from a distance. I wouldn't, go be dying to wine and dine with them. And this is all. I will have my own social circle. So before I could face discrimination, I myself
Yes, suddenly you're
exited.
off list, you're off list, you don't
Right.
know a dinner happened or a lunch happened.
Precisely.
That
Yeah.
kind of stuff starts, yeah.
Right. So, but I'm damn sure that had I tried to continue being a so-called, in the professional media and all that, forget discrimination, much worse things would have happened. So, and it's evident also with many people, I mean, uh, obviously Kangana is one of the prime
You
example. I
met
mean,
her yesterday. You met her yesterday. That's why. Oh, and I realized that that's why we had to postpone our chat. Because she tried something snarky on Twitter that I said, no, leave it. But tell me,
no, no, I
how was
did
that meeting? How was that meeting?
yeah, it was fine. It was a short meeting, but I knew that it would got delayed. That's why I asked you to maybe reschedule it. And
Uh-huh.
and you could have made a snarky comment. There are few people I don't block back or think that I should first block. So you definitely are not in that zone. So very few people are in that category. So it was a nice meeting, although it was a short meeting. She's shooting for upcoming movie Tejas, and it was a short meeting in her vanity van. For the first time, I saw what a vanity van is. It's
Fancy, no? They're
yeah,
really
fancy.
fancy.
It has a sofa, AC, everything inside a what from outside looks like a bus. So it was good, and we had a short chat. And she was she actually talked about the stuff in the book, that how the so-called liberals, she has also faced the kind of intolerance and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And so yeah, it was nice little meeting. And yeah, but we came to discussing her because the kind of things that you get to face once you become vocal. So forget Kangana, there are many people, I'm sure you also know, who are not celebs as such, but who you would know that once they start getting vocal, I mean, people go to they go for the jugular vein.
Oh
uh,
yes, I mean, I know. I mean, I'm working on a project, and my producer said that. Oh, I didn't know that you were right wing.
Imagine.
And it was about 3 weeks into the project and everything was signed and sealed. So I said,
Uh,
aren't you glad? Like, I'm really glad you didn't know. Because,
uh,
and then I asked him very candidly, I said, I have my views. I mean, you may choose to classify me in whichever way. I said, but
hmm,
would you have not worked with me? And he says, no, I
hmm.
only care about the work.
Okay.
So he was pretty awesome. But I'm just
Yeah.
saying that that it's very real, and
Hmm.
and it's yeah, but you can't let that beat you down. What I have
Right.
personally found is that I just have to work harder. I have
Right.
to meet the deadlines faster. I just
Right.
have to
Right.
put more into it than somebody else who is
Right.
not perceived in this way does. And that's
Right.
really, I think, the challenge of my generation. Maybe going
Right.
forward, it
Hmm.
won't be that challenging for people to have certain opinions and not face this kind of McCarthyism.
No, you can never be sure. I mean, this is getting only worse. All this cancel culture and all that.
But the liberals seem to be canceling each other out also. That's
Right. But
more
but
often than not, they're canceling each other.
no, no, no. But that's how it was always was. I mean, like what is known as the O'Sullivan's law, that if you are not avowedly right wing, you would become left wing over a time. And how does that happen? Because these people keep on canceling, people who don't agree with, and that's why the organization is left with only one kind of people, and then it becomes left wing. So this is something. This is not recent. It has become very vulgar recently. It has become very in your face recently. But this is how they always were. Uh, so I'm not at all sure that in future actually people are going to get it better than us. Uh, it can be if the political and the social landscape of India evolves very differently from the way it has evolved outside, which I think should have. That's where my hope is from. My hope is not because of generational gap. We in a way are actually uh, more fortunate that we can speak out and we can say something. People before us and maybe even people after us might have things might have even worse. But I have hope for future, because I think the way Indian political and social landscape is going to evolve is going to be different from Europe or Americas.
Do you think so? In what way would it be different?
I mean, like, see, it's currently the constituencies of the so-called left and right, in a way, even globally, but definitely in India, it has swapped. I mean, so currently your Hindutva party is pro-poor. It's the OBC party in a way, and it's the Brahmins who are all the woke and all. So the political strength, because it's the demography that's destiny. So that in that way, obviously, the Hindutva has an upper hand. Because we have now started reaching to those constituencies which was not supposed to be Hindutva constituency. The BJP was supposed to be Brahmin Baniya party. So that has changed, and that's reflecting in the electoral politics as well. But it's not just about elections. Obviously, I mean, we cannot outsource it just to BJP. Just because BJP keeps on winning, that's why Hindutva politics will also grow stronger, or the Hindutva Hindu assertion will grow stronger. That's not guaranteed, but it's something that's definitely helpful, and that I'm not seeing anytime soon weakening. I mean, you can only see Mamta Banerjee doing Chandi Path, and Arvind Kejriwal doing all this
3 trips
Hanuman,
to Ram
yeah,
Mandir. I
yeah,
mean,
and sending people to Ram Mandir.
these are
So
people
so
who didn't even want to say Ram Mandir.
precisely.
So
So
it's yeah.
right. So that's where I believe that we are better positioned. So far as the West is concerned, it all now depends on how the political as well as community leadership of the Hindus, or rather the what in popular parlance, what we term as the Hindutva group, how they seize the opportunity and make the best of it. So that's where I'm hopeful. Otherwise, obviously,
Don't you,
if
Rahul,
hmm,
just to come back to the Hindutva, don't you think Hindutva has an image problem? In the sense that it is perceived or is portrayed
hmm,
definitely as being very angry, assertive,
hmm, hmm,
in some cases even violent,
hmm,
and also with not cool. For the younger
hmm,
demographic,
hmm,
it's
hmm,
not
hmm,
cool to be Hindutva.
hmm,
So
hmm,
there is an image issue also at this
right.
point in time.
Yeah.
What do you
That
think about that?
that always was the case. That problem was always that one by one that is being solved. I think Hindutva is still not cool in that sense. So that problem is still there. But violent and all that, those things are passe. I mean, and it's all thanks to the liberals because they have betrayed themselves as so violent themselves that even when you throw that criticism, from where that criticism is coming, that also becomes a very important point in when you talk about how image is created. So those who are throwing these criticisms, they themselves are deeply violent, they themselves are deeply intolerant, they themselves are deeply supremacist. So these things obviously are no longer sticking. One thing definitely is still sticking is that those who talk you who accuse you of being uncool definitely are succeeding in showing themselves cool. They can speak English in a better fashion, they can create better Instagram posts, their movies and their stuff are more glossy, and so that problem is still there. Other, I'm not too worried about, because the criticism from where it's coming, people can see through. I mean, it's fine, some young guys still get misled by those kind of comments, but very soon they can see through it, that I mean, okay, you accuse them of being violent, but you yourself you keep your mouth shut when a 70-year-old woman is beaten in Bengal, or you celebrate when a veteran is slapped in Maharashtra. So these things people can see. So those that criticism doesn't stick. Cool thing, yeah, that's still a problem. I have become old, I'm no longer cool. So I so I hope the new generation, the new guys in their 20s and all that, they should come in front and make it cool. So that's one thing that's lacking.
No, I mean, I'll tell you from the entertainment world
Yeah.
perspective. I see a lot more stories now which
Hmm.
are rooted in the authentic Indian experience, which
Hmm.
is rooted in
True.
the smaller towns and the villages,
Hmm.
and those kind of shows actually doing well. They're not kind of manipulative in the way they're presented
Hmm.
or anything. They're just like real time experiences. That whole era. I mean, we are in many ways children of the liberalization era,
Right,
right?
right,
We
right,
came up to age when suddenly there was MTV on TV, and there was
right.
Coca-Cola and all of that.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
there was huge aspiration. There was the
Right.
Karan Johar films and Shah Rukh Khan called Rahul in, I don't know, five
Yeah.
films with the bomber jacket and all of that. So we
Yeah.
were like coming of age at that time.
Right.
But on the other hand, when I see there's this cool factor issue, I also find that this current generation very connected with their roots
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
with their experiences as middle class India in
Hmm.
many ways. And I
Yeah.
think that's interesting. That's an interesting shift as well.
Yeah, it's also about how you see that the often talked about aphorism that whether the glass is half full or half empty. So many things in Bollywood. Even though people are on my side, obviously we are constantly outraged about what's happening in Bollywood or on OTT. Things are not so bad. I mean, like you have to see little things, little nuances. For example, that very simple, happy kind of movie, Bala. The
Old one.
balding guy. Yeah. In that, I'm sure that if a leftist had seen, he would have been riled up. So this. I'm sorry, I really forget the names of actors and actresses. So the actress there, one with black face. Uh, okay, so so I'm forgetting. Yeah, so the actress there, she is having, her color is not fair, and she's taken away while having a
Oh,
school drama.
Bhumi
Sorry.
Pendekar. Bhumi Pendekar, I think.
Ah, Bhumi, yeah.
Yeah.
So she she
She's
she
dark
she's
skin. yes, and she got.
Right. So she's not given a role in some school drama because she's not good looking, and she was always given a role of the Krishna Kubja, so a
Mhm.
deformed lady, and then she has this, the dialogue is there that it shows as if why Hindu epics show a deformed lady as somebody who is not so well, or who is kind of who is not
Dark skin.
appreciated,
Okay.
and Krishna had to turn her into a beautiful woman. So she comes up with her same liberal thing that this is wrong. Why Krishna had to turn her into a beautiful woman? So a message you are giving is that women who are not good looking, they are not worth Krishna's affection, or what? But the way it ends, Bala, in which Ayushman Khurrana says that Krishna didn't turn Kanekubja into a beautiful woman, that is a metaphor. He actually helped her find her inner beauty. So this is how it
Yeah.
ends. It's very small thing, very
Yeah.
subtle thing, but I am damn sure when a SFI leader is watching it, he will say, "Sala, ये हिंदुत्व प्रोपेगेंडा है." तो तो हम भी इतने छोटे मोटे चीज थोड़ा सोच लेना कि हाँ अच्छा है, चल रहा है ये, और ये वो उधर नहीं करेंगे. दे वुड हैव वांटेड कि नहीं, वो इसको कहीं ना कहीं से जोड़ो, कृष्ण को आप विलन दिखाओ, बट एटलीस्ट इस तरह की मूवीज भी हैं, इसमें आप थोड़ी थोड़ी चीजें हम लोगों को समझने की जरूरत है, दैट थिंग्स आर चेंजिंग.
And I think it was Salman Khan's film Bajrangi
हाँ.
Bhaijaan, in which
हाँ.
there's a sort of a shaka scene also.
Right, at least that part was good. Yeah, I mean, overall showing every Pakistani as a good person, every Indian showing as a cunning, that was the bad aspect of it. But again, as I said, look at the glass half full. Yeah,
Okay.
at least Shaka was being normalized there.
No, I mean, I definitely see that there is, at least in the projects that I'm working on, that there
Uh,
is like certain sensitivity that
yeah,
we just don't want to get into that space with any group.
right,
No, I mean, we just want to tell a story, at least where I'm working. So
right.
as of now, so
Mm,
far so good, but tomorrow you never know, who gets offended by
yeah.
what, and that's really the time that we live in.
Mm,
And really, what do you think is the, let's just talk politics for the last 5 minutes. We've done the
mm,
book. It's been a great conversation, but I just
mm,
want to know about a few political things because I know you're a keen political observer.
mhm.
What do you think is going to happen in the Congress? Do you think that G23 is going to make a party and there's going to be a split, or you think it's going to be this more of the same? Rahul ji is going to become
Yeah. I'm not too. I don't think it's that G23 thing is. It is just made for TV, made for media nonsense. They don't look like people with actual ground, support. What Congress can fear the worst is what happened actually during Sonia, when someone like Sharad Pawar, he split the party, and that actually becomes a worrisome factor. But an Anand Sharma or Ghulam Nabi Azad going hardly is something. It's I don't
the
really think.
mass leader base, I mean, is
Hmm.
really doesn't exist as such with the
Yeah,
Congress,
I
right?
mean,
The
say
way
if
Sharad Pawar and Mamta Banerjee had.
right, if say if Captain Amarinder leaves or Gehlot leaves, then obviously it becomes a major issue for Congress. And I don't think there is going to be any rebellion in Congress. Uh, they know that if they don't stick together, they would perish. Now these people, the G23, perhaps they don't see that long term. They just want another Rajya Sabha seat,
I
maybe.
mean, most of them are 70. I mean, they're,
Precisely.
they're
So
kind of like, yeah.
right. So I don't think that's bigger problem. The big problem, I think Congress will definitely might see a real genuine split and all that if they lose to 2024 as well, because then they will have nothing. I mean, 2019 they can still have the excuse ki Pulwama tha, or we didn't use uh, Priyanka Gandhi in our smartest way. But now they are doing everything. Priyanka has been unleashed in UP, and obviously without uh, turning around UP, you are not going to win the 2024 elections. So if they fail in 2024 too, then I think Congress is safe as such till 2024. अब इससे बुरा क्या होगा उनका? So I don't think these people G23 is much of a problem. They are safe. All these people are in Congress. Whoever is looking for a long career, currently they cannot take that risk. It's for them the best bet is to stick together.
Okay, and that's what a lot of BJP supporters would want as well.
Yeah, till
Congress under Rahul Gandhi, I think that would be the first.
Right. So this is a pretty peculiar, game theory problem where both sides actually want the same thing. So either my analysis is completely wrong, or this is actually a very special game theory problem. Yeah.
And quick thing. We have so many elections coming up. What are your predictions? What do you think is going to happen in Assam?
I'm not a typical journalist, so I will not risk that. I would say I really don't know much about these things. For Bengal, for example, like Nupur is there, my editor is there. She believes that no, BJP definitely is winning. Assam, again, I have one guy. He does think that yeah, BJP has an upper edge, but to be honest, unless I have some insight, some data, I would not be a typical journalist because
It
that's what
actually
I'm not.
brings me to Op India.
Yeah,
We've not talked about Op India at all.
yeah,
How's
yeah.
that going? Because you have managed to get some street cred in the last few years. Because
Mm-hmm.
initially, and I used to also be critical of this, was that it was, take this person, attack this person, take
Right,
that
right.
person, attack this person. But
Yeah.
in the last couple of years, and I think with Nupur also heading, Op India, there has been more journalism, there has been more on the ground reportage,
Right, right.
and all of those things. So it is evolving into quite a,
Right, right. Because see, again, not as a journalist, but as a businessman, I would say if it's not broken, don't fix it. So this criticism of India is not new to me, and it's like almost 3 years old, that
yeah.
it's too aggressive, too attacking and stuff. But that's what worked for the brand. That's how people either loved it or either hated it. So as a person heading the product, I didn't have any reason to change it, and in the process what is even working, you break it. What extra we can do, that is always a question, and how to do that extra, whether within Op India or you create a sister brand, or how do you do that, those are branding as well as business kind of
But you
challenges
all
and
have,
questions.
you've started paying a lot more attention to
Right. So,
stories
yeah.
and sports and things like that. There has been
Right. So
in
so
content.
true. So now that realization is there, that we do need to go beyond that image. We don't need to shed that image. We don't need to dilute what we stand for.
Your
But
tone stays the same, but you expand
right,
what you're.
precisely, yeah. So the character stays the same, but we have to do more. So like Nupur is very excited to go on ground reporting for Bengal, and we do plan to do much more things. Uh, so not always angry, not always attacking. So so that definitely is there, but anger and attack will go away. That obviously is not happening because that's the character.
That's the
Yeah,
character of Open. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. No, but it's having an interesting journey, and I think it's certainly being cited a lot by the liberals in a lot of
Yeah.
their in a
Yeah,
lot of
in
their
that in
articles.
that yeah, in that sense, I always say that we are taking all the heat, we are providing cover to other people. Other people should do it. Like, let the liberals all gang up against us. They let them vandalize our Wikipedia page. Let them paint us
I
as
know.
fake news and everything. So let them focus all our energy on us, and you do your own thing. So so that's what I would tell others also. So
And my final question, because this is my genuine fear,
yeah.
who's the photo editor of Op India? Because you find the worst photographs of people. So if Op India is ever angry at me, I won't worry so much about what they've written, but they're going to find some horrible picture and plaster it online. And
Uh,
that,
No, I all I can say is that we don't edit it. We just वो हमारी इतनी श्रद्धा रहती है कि हमें कहीं ना कहीं से कुछ मिल जाता है.
horrible. But it's so much fun chatting with you. I
Yeah.
wish you all the best with this
Thank
book.
you. Thank you.
And I think the next one you have to write is for how the closet sanghis self-help help, how they can come
Yeah,
out
maybe,
and see
maybe,
themselves.
yeah, or I can partner with some closet sanghis how to survive in the liberal world as a sanghi.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, this is very clear. The establishment may have changed politically,
Yeah.
but for example, in my world, the
Hmm.
establishment is pretty much the same.
Yeah, yeah.
No, there's no change.
Politically, the people in power have changed. The establishment remains the same. Unfortunately,
Yes,
even after now, how many?
7 years
Seven
nearly.
years? Yeah, it's still the same. And I mean, there have been some people who didn't want to be quoted, but appointed right by the prime minister themselves. Even after 7 years, they say that they don't get support of bureaucrats. That bureaucrats still believe that, earlier they believed that this government is going in 2019.
Yes,
Now they believe that this again is going in 2024, and we just have to survive, and our days would be back. So I mean, it's not about everyone, obviously, every bureaucrat, or maybe some of the anti-bureaucrat sentiments that we have seen recently from various ministers could be a reflection of that.
the
But
frustration of trying
yeah, that
to get
frustration and all. But this is something that was told to me months back by someone very known and senior, that you can't believe that these guys simply don't fear, and nobody can take away their jobs and all. So that establishment remains that. I don't know. I mean, maybe.
So
Uh,
I'm a bureaucrat's daughter, so I know that those
hmm,
jobs are secure. That's one
yeah.
of the good things. What can happen to you and does happen very often is if you're out
Hmm,
of political favor, you'll get a crappy posting or you
right.
won't get
Right.
an assignment or something like that. But the
Right.
job security
Yeah,
is
that's
there.
secure. Yeah.
Hmm, hmm.
And you can always think that, okay, you sacrifice these 5 years for something far far better when Congress or others return. So that belief is always there. But
But on the other hand, you have people like Shah Faisal, who
yeah,
who is a
exactly.
mystery, who's
Yeah,
a
I mean,
mystery
this cannot be an excuse. Obviously, I'm saying that this is one of the explanation. But if people like me and you know, obviously people in the power also know about this. So how to tackle this problem, how to come out with a solution to handle this. I'm sure something is being done, but this is a problem. I mean, we started discussing it because of the establishment. That obviously, that deep state, that establishment, that ecosystem, which I have devoted one chapter to explain what it is and why it is anti-Hindu. That remains the same. That hasn't changed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But again, it's been such a pleasure. I'm going to have you back for other conversations on other topics.
Sure.
And I really enjoyed myself. And thank you
Yeah.
so much. And all the best with the book.
Thank
And
you. Thank you.
good luck with that. So I'm
Thank you.
going to say bye to our audience as well.
Yeah.
And we're also going to be putting this up on the India Ahead site after we kind of dress it up and package it and do all of those professional things with it. But thank you. And we're going to do more conversations with authors. Those are of those who are listening. I'm going to be coming up with one with the author of Sambhaji, who's a great Marathi writer, and talk about Sambhaji. So very interesting stuff coming up on Kaleidoscope. But again, thank you everybody for watching, and of course my wonderful guest,
Thank
who
you.
has a lot to say always,
Mhm.
and actually even smiles. He's not that angry as he appears on Twitter, so that's good.
Yeah.
So see you all
That's
soon. Let me just